Lakshmi, tell me, why are women important to the climate change debate?
They are important not only because they constitute half the population of the world, but they have a very special role and responsibility for the sustainability and quality of consumption and production patterns and development. So they have to play an important role, that critical role at the household level, at the community level, at the national level, and at the global level. And also, they are most disproportionately and differentially impacted by climate change in its many manifestations. If you look at food security and agriculture, if you look at health, you look at water, fuel and energy issues, all the phases of climate change, if you look at them, women and girls are most immediately and materially as well as disproportionately affected, particularly in developing countries, in poorer communities. So by looking at climate change mitigation and adaptation from the gender lens, how it impacts them, and by using their agency to find mitigation and adaptation responses, and in terms of climate action, we are in fact making the whole action much more effective, much more enduring and sustainable.
Are women, having said that, are women involved enough, or
Not
is
at
it
all.
men making all the decisions here?
Yes. In fact, when a catastrophe hits, when a disaster hits, women get disproportionately affected, but also they are very much involved in care burden that results in rebuilding, but somehow never in the management, never in the decision making, never in the provision of solutions that they should be. So that is why we are really, as UN Women, working with UNFCCC, trying to, since 2010, and also working with civil society, DGCA, trying to make sure that women's voices are heard, their concerns are taken into account, and their creative genius, their ability to transform, their ability also, they are resilience personified. So we have to talk, when we talk about climate resilience, we talk about a resilient planet, women have to be in the leadership. So since 2010, each COP, we try to advance a gender agenda and to make sure that gender is entered into whatever is the context that is being discussed. So in 2010, in Cancun, for the first time, UNFCCC and the Kyoto Protocol, these have been gender blind. But for the first time, gender was introduced, and recognition that climate policy and climate action should be gender sensitive, gender responsive was recognized. Then in 2011, climate finance related formulations were brought in. And then third, last year, we had the gender miracle with an adoption of the gender balance related decision. So we are making, and this year, we are really hoping that that decision is implemented. What does that mean? It means that in all the Kyoto Protocol bodies and UNFCCC bodies and governing bodies and norm-setting bodies, we should have a we should target 50% representation of women delegates, chairs, the actors have to be women.
That's going to take a lot of money and a lot of time in a meeting that doesn't have a lot of money or time. And meanwhile, women all over the world are suffering and need funding. Is it worth it?
It is definitely worth it, and it much more than money and time. It needs political will. And that's what we are always working to put together. And that's why the decision was important, and the decision must be carried forward, of course. It needs money, yes. We need to incentivize, but those who have the money have to have the political will also to show the way and to support others who don't have the money. Also, we need to continue to make the case for the urgency of this being implemented, to set a timeline, and that has been set for 2016, a review of this decision, and its implementation. And we need to also train and build the capacity of people so that quickly they can be brought into the mainstream of the decision-making processes. And we do hope that with work that we are doing with UNFCCC, as we did the workshop recently, and there are other training and other capacity building activities, I'm sure that we will prevail over all these constraints and challenges that you have mentioned.